and welcome to the Healing Path to Wealth. And this first step is all about really understanding what these lies are so that you've got a full understanding and knowledge of it, and so that you can actually take yourself away from that, or know the difference between happiness and wealth and everything else that you want in your life too, so that we can have it all. Okay, so I want to just go into the history of this, because this came to me that it's really important to understand why this happened in the first place. Okay, so you've got the religions and churches that we all know by now have created a lot of, there's a lot of truth in them, yes there is, but there's also a lot of lies in there too that are actually put in there in order to control people, you know, whether it's lies about women to control women, or lies about wealth to control people so that they don't get wealthy, and all of that. Apart from the big lie that goes on in the church about it's hard for someone, that you shouldn't be wealthy, that it's hard for someone to be wealthy, when the church is actually the wealthiest institution, the wealthiest corporation on the planet. So complete double standard there. But what I want to talk about today is the actual beliefs, the strategies that we've been taught in order to accumulate wealth. And I've done so many different programs and read so many books and heard this over and over again, so much so that I even put it in my own work, even though I put it in my own work not because it came to me to put it in there, but because that's what everyone else was saying, so I thought it must be true, and so I added it into my own work too. And so first of all, the knowledge that if we are happy, if we are taught to be just happy with what we've got, then we won't go for anything else, yeah? And so imagine the best way to hold someone down and not want more for themselves is to teach them to be happy with what they've got, yeah? Imagine the best way to stop somebody from getting great wealth is to teach them just to be grateful for the $10 that they get, or the $100 that they get a week, or $500 or whatever it is. Okay? This sets up this trap, this kind of happiness trap. I'm calling it a happiness trap. People teaching the way to wealth through these methods, but it actually only taking people to happiness so that they will actually not pursue the wealth that they want. Okay, so just entertain that for a while, that maybe you've been taught these things, or maybe we've continued teaching these things that came from religion in the first place, which has happened with so many different things, you know? Spiritual teachers all through the ages have taken what's in religion until they've realized that something isn't true, and then taken that out and started teaching something new. So this is just another evolutionary phase of that, yeah, to take out what isn't true for what we really want to get in our lives. So that's the happiness trap, is that if you are happy with what you've got, or happy with just the little things, then you're not going to go for what you really want in life, yeah? And so best way to keep people down and not wealthy is to teach them that the way to wealth is just by being happy with what they've got. Just by being happy with what they've got, and be really happy if I just give you a little bit. Okay? That is the way to keep people happy and not to go for wealth. Okay? So this is why gratitude should be completely omitted from wealth teachings, or any kind of teachings in how to get what you want out of life. It only gets you happiness. And yes, that's valid. That is so valid. But that's not what is being taught. Okay? It will be taught in order to get happy, but it's also being taught in it's how to get wealth, and it's how to get what you want out of life, and it's how to manifest what you want. And it isn't. It isn't. It's how to not do those things. It's how to just be happy and stop yourself from going from that for those things. And so hopefully you believe me now about that. My own life, in my own life experience, this has been true. You know, I had great wealth in my 20s, and I remember exactly what my mind was like then, what I thought about, what I was focused on, and how I felt when I received things. And I wasn't grateful and focused on, I wasn't positive. I wasn't a positive person, and I wasn't grateful for the little things. I felt good when I made large amounts of money, when I had an investment that returned like 1,000%, which happened to me quite a few times, when I had when I renovated houses that returned me a lot of money. I felt good about it. Yeah, of course I felt good about it. But I wasn't feeling grateful about the money that was coming in through my job, and I felt kind of good about the work bonuses that I get that used to come regularly as well. I wasn't in that state that teachers are telling you that you need to be in order to get wealth. And I was wealthy. Yeah, I was wealthy. I was doing all of the right things. Okay, and if that isn't enough to convince you, when I started following the spiritual teachings, I lost all my wealth very quickly within 3 years. Quicker than it took me to accumulate it. It probably took me about, probably about 8 years to accumulate it, and less than 3 years to completely lose it all through following spiritual teachings. And then ever since then, say that's 2000, and then the next 11 years of just getting by. Even now I raise my standards, even though I've been raising my standards, I've still only just been getting what I need, just getting by, okay? Which isn't wealth. It isn't wealth at all. It's a stressful state to be in, and it still feels like poverty. And so if that's not enough to convince you that these things aren't true, that the gratitude thing isn't true, then have a look around you. Have a look around you at all the people in the world and see which ones are wealthy and see which ones aren't. And it's the spiritual people that aren't. Okay, there might be a few spiritual people that have managed to get wealth, and they're the ones that they're teaching about gratitude still, just because they haven't really been fully aware of what it is that changed within them in order to get it. And like I was before, just passing it on because that's what everyone says. Everyone's been teaching that, and so you just add that to it because it must be true, you know. So this is why it's been passed on. But hopefully now you'll understand that why it keeps you from wealth. Because when you're happy for the small things, you're saying to the universe, that's all I want. I'm happy with that. That's all I want. Okay? So I'm not even suggesting, and I'm going to take you through this process further on in this class, but I'm not suggesting to start feeling like rejecting it or feeling bad about it, or any of that stuff. What I'm going to do is teach you how to tap into the truth of your inner knowing, your inner guidance system about it, instead of trying to lie to yourself about how it feels. And that's the real trick here, but that's in future lessons. First of all, I want to get clear on these lines. That's the first line, the gratitude line. Gratitude, yes, we want it because it makes us happy. Of course it makes us happy, but that's all it does. It does not attract things to us. It doesn't bring wealth to us. It doesn't bring the things that we want in life to us, and it doesn't bring what we're trying to manifest. Okay, so let me put it in another context. Imagine if the best way to keep you in an abusive relationship is to get you to be grateful for the little that you get from that relationship. Yeah, so we wonder why women stay in these violent relationships when they're being taught to focus on what's good about that relationship, to feel good about it. It keeps you there, okay? And it's exactly the same thing about money. If you're taught to just be grateful for the little things that you get, just be grateful for what you've got, it keeps you there. I wasn't in that state when I got wealth. Not at all. Quite the opposite. I was going for what I wanted, and I wasn't accepting the little things. It's like, no, this isn't enough. I'll listen to my inner guidance. My inner guidance doesn't feel good about being in poverty. It feels horrible. Okay. So the other one is positivity. Okay, positivity. I didn't have positivity at all, yet I was wealthy. And in fact, yeah, I came from such a negative family. Wow, the most negative people I ever, as particularly my mum, but they're the most negative people ever. Like, if you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it if you met them, that I actually came from them. But I turned that around because I saw how unhappy they were. Not how little money they had. No, they didn't. They had plenty. But how unhappy they were with that. And so I turned that around and figured out how to be positive, to be a positive person. And yes, it brought me happiness. It brought me a lot of happiness. But in the same kind of way as gratitude didn't bring me wealth, doesn't bring wealth, it doesn't bring those things, it doesn't bring the things that you want in life. It's not the attractor thing that you imagine it to be or have been taught that it is. Positivity just makes you happy, and yes, you want that, but you don't want to believe that positivity will bring you the things that you want, like wealth and like the things that you want to manifest and all of that. And so this has been like a dumbing down, started by the church in order to dumb people down, to keep them in this happiness trap so that they don't go for what they want, so that they can continue to be controlled. And we need to stop this. We need to stop believing it now. And it's just been perpetuated completely innocently by spiritual teachers who haven't had this aha that I had this morning, that it's not true. And so we can forgive those too. And I can forgive myself for perpetuating it, as I have done as well. But it's time for the truth to come out now. And so let me know if you're still struggling with this, that these are lies. Because you are going to, just as I have, you're going to see this teaching in everything, in every kind of course or book, spiritual book about wealth and getting what you want. You're going to see it everywhere. That positivity and gratitude will get you there, and it doesn't. So if you still got resistance to believing that, then tell us in the Facebook group. And let's talk about it so that we can turn you around about that, because this is key. It's key to it. That what you've been believing will get you what you want is actually what's holding you away from it. Okay, so I'll see you in the next lesson.